We are going to accompany the intense 5-day journey of this authentic exchange of knowledge on cultivation, techniques, and the entire commercialization process of soybeans in Brazil. An exchange of experiences between specialists from Brazil and the United States organized by Syngenta. But before taking off on our voyage, a brief introduction of the group, starting with the American guests brought by Syngenta. Dwight Fickbaum, a farmer from South Dakota. Paul Newton, Syngenta sales representative in the United States. And Greg Lamp, editor of the Corn and Soybean Digest Farm magazine. Agronomist Marconi Dias, Syngenta Brazil's seed care marketing manager, met the three at the Guarulhos airport. And thus, the Farmer Swap program got underway.
Was promoting way last summer, and I got to be one of the finalists and finally won it myself, and Paul, district rep there, got to come down.
Syngenta Seed Care had a farmer swap sweepstakes, which gathered names from all over the soybean growing areas of the United States. The winner of that sweepstakes was in my territory, and fortunately I got to go along, and that's how we ended up here.
Esse programa visa trocar experiências de soja, de programas de soja, de usos de tecnologia e de técnicas de produção, com o objetivo de ganharmos conhecimento e automaticamente, por consequência, ganharmos em termos de produtividade.
In Brasilia, a city tour with stops for photographs, conversations, and one certainty: the climate of fraternization and learning could not be better. But the time had come for everyone to head to the Brasilia Alvorada Hotel. For Bahia awaited the group the next day. Right after their arrival in Bahia, the group heard a report prepared by the Syngenta technicians from the city of Luis Eduardo Magalhães on the planting of soybeans in the region. They then went to the Oilema, a farm owned by the Gatto brothers, who are among Brazil's most respected soybean seed producers. There was an intense exchange of information. The visitors were impressed with the high yields obtained. Before leaving, the group pauses for a photograph. The journey's third day. Our destination is the Iowa Farm, a venture of American entrepreneurs who grow soybeans, cotton, and corn. Matthew Cruz, one of Iowa's partners and applied research consultant Luis Henrique Kazuya, presented the results of comparative tests between a crop of soybeans treated with Syngenta's Cruiser 700 Was insecticide and a crop grown without the product. The productivity of the crop with insecticide seed treatment was 62 bags per hectare, against 48 bags for the common crop. The conversation encouraged the visitors, and farmer Dwight Fickbaum wanted to know the main pests affecting Brazilian soybean. Consultant Kazuya made the list: caterpillars, pseudoplusia, bugs, whiteflies, and soybean anteaters. Notice that an interpreter is always present to make the exchange of information between specialists viable. At the end of the visit, Syngenta technicians gave a plaque to thank the OTO one-to-one partners of the Iowa Farm. From the Iowa Farm, we headed to Mato Grosso State, one of Brazil's biggest agribusiness centers. The destination is now the city of Lucas do Rio Verde, located in a region that has Brazil's highest soybean productivity rates. Here, Syngenta Brazil's Marconi Dias draws on the experience he accumulated working 2 years in Cuiabá to deliver a lecture to the participants of the Farmer Swap program. Marconi talked about the soil in Mato Grosso, its vast plains, tablelands, its cattle raising, mining, and soybean and corn rotation. He pointed out that it is common practice in the region to harvest soybeans and then plant corn on the same day. The group also listened to a lecture by agronomist Naildo Lopez, who heads AproSoja, the Soybean Farmers Association of the state of Mato Grosso. Naildo proudly mentioned figures pertaining to the state's soybean crop. The Mato Grosso government had recently announced that the state's soybean exports in 2009 had totaled $4.2 billion. The last event on the agenda was a delicious dinner, where the main dish was grilled pintado, a typical Brazilian fish. The last day of technical visits of Syngenta Brazil's Farmer Swap program got off to a fun start. First, there was a hearty breakfast. The American visitors then took photos of the sculptures that decorate the hotel's facade. By then, the group had a well-defined image of Brazil's soybean crop.
A few years ago, U.S. farmers kind of doubted whether, we should let much of the information out, much of our research that we have done in soybean and corn production into Brazil. Looked at everybody as sort of a competitor, and that, passing on that information was only going to harm farmers in the U.S. But I think there's much more of a two-way street now. Farming is very advanced in the Brazil area, much like the U.S. And I think that we actually share and can solve some problems together. A great example, I think, is the Asian soybean rust issue. And countered it here in Brazil first. They worked well with U.S. researchers and chemical companies to try to figure out how to combat that disease should it come to the U.S. So I think it's gotten to be much more of a two-way street than we might have thought 10 years ago.
There was still a lot of work to be done, and the group went to visit the farm owned by the Coomer family that grows soybeans and corn in rotation. Brothers Guilherme and Germano welcomed the visitors, showed them their soybean plantation and the Syngenta products they use. From the Coomer farm, the group went to visit a company called Fiagrio. Fiagrio is present in 12 cities in central northern Mato Grosso, supplying agrochemicals, buying and selling grains, and processing biodiesel. In 2009 alone, the company sold $45 million worth of Syngenta products. The group had begun evaluating the trip.
Well, living in the United States, we kind of think of ourselves as leaders in soybean and corn production. As we're finding out down here, they're progressing at a very rapid pace and becoming excellent farmers and caretakers of the land, and I can see nothing but progress on the horizon for them down here.
One of the reasons I enjoy working in agriculture is the people I work with are very hardworking. This is a growth opportunity down here. It's an opportunity to see how they're doing things maybe a little different. Learning about different diseases that can affect us in the United States. And overall, it's just an overall good learning experience to see how they're doing their farming practices in other parts of the world.
Com a presença do Paul, que é uma pessoa da Syngenta lá nos Estados Unidos, a gente acaba também ganhando algum conhecimento com relação ao que eles têm feito lá nos Estados Unidos e a gente consegue trazer aqui para o Brasil, como é o caso, muitas vezes, do tratamento industrial que eles têm desenvolvido na cultura da soja, né, com maquinários, a parte de logística, ou seja, toda a estratégia de acesso ao mercado que eles têm desenvolvido lá e que, consequentemente, nós podemos trazer para cá como uma forma de melhorar o nosso desempenho da companhia e, principalmente, o desempenho do nosso produtor agrícola.
I've sort of noticed is sort of the entrepreneurial spirit of farmers here in Brazil. If they think they can make more money raising cotton in a couple years, they jump out of whatever rotation they have, get into that and try to make money at it. And if that means then later they have to get back into soybeans or some other crop, they're risk takers. They'll jump into it right away and not worry about so much the risk that we maybe get in more of a pattern in the U.S. than perhaps farmers here in Brazil do.
From Fiagrio, the group went to the Cortesia farm, a disseminator of technology and a Syngenta OTO client. The day was still cloudy, but Dwight's desire to drive a combine was so big that Evandro Cortesia took the group to a field where cotton was being planted and where the sun was being awaited to resume the soybean harvest. Dwight was very proud, showing off his abilities to drive the combine. There was not much time left. We had to rush back to Cuiabá, from where we would go to Guarujá, a beach resort in the state of São Paulo, where everyone would enjoy a full day of leisure and wrap up Syngenta Brazil's week-long farmer swap program.